Lions and tigers and bears. Lions and tigers and bears. Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my!
Humans have had words for big scary animals for a long time, but once you break down what they mean, they aren't that scary. They're things like Russian elephants, and rivers, and stars. Oh my. Let me explain. Let's start with lions. The word lion comes to English from the Old French lion, which comes from the Latin leo, which is from the Greek leon. Which, from here, we are sure that it's related to the Semitic languages, or Afro-Asiatic languages, those being like Egyptian, Hebrew, Arabic. They get the word lion from the Proto-Semitic word labi, which means that lion is not an Indo-European word. It's unknown whether the Greeks borrowed the words from the Semitic peoples they were trading with, like the Phoenicians or the Egyptians, or if they both got that word from an older language. And we also, when we're thinking about this, have to remember that while now we associate lions with Africa, there were lions in Europe and in the Balkan Peninsula as recently as 400 BC. But you know who didn't have lions? The Russians. They got the word that they use for elephant from the Turkish word for lion. Hey, you know what this word means, right, Slavs? Yeah, it's that African animal. Uh-huh. Yeah, the one with 4 legs. Well, duh. And the long nose. Sure. Why not? Little sidetrack. C.S. Lewis, super creative author, cool guy. Not very creative name maker. Aslan, the name of the lion god, is literally just the Turkish word for lion, the same one that the Russians used to make their word elephant. That's enough about lions, let's move on to tigers. Our word tiger comes from the French word tigre, which comes from both the Latin and Greek use the same word for tiger, tigris, which possibly comes from an Iranian source, such as the Old Persian tigra, meaning sharp or pointed, or in Avestan, which is another Aryan language, tigri, which means arrow. So there's this idea of something that's sharp, or a weapon, being a tiger, because tigers are notoriously sharp. This is all related to the name of the river Tigris, which is a word going all the way back to Sumerian. See, here's the cuneiform. That's an old word. If it's in cuneiform, you know you're getting into some old stuff. The Sumerian word idigna meant fast as an arrow, and that's what they referred to the river as. So that word idigna led to the Elamite word tigra, which would also be cuneiform. I don't know if we have it. If we have it, we'll have it right here. Which led to the Old Persian tigra, which we talked about earlier. I want everyone to take a second and appreciate that the word tiger has a direct line from a river that cradled the first sparks of civilization 5 millennium ago to become the Tiger King, who is neither sharp nor fast. Let's wrap this up. Let's run over to bears. Our word bear comes from the Old English bera, which comes from the Proto-Germanic bero. Now, the origin of that word is a little bit disputed. There's at least one linguist that thinks that the root of that word is the Proto-Indo-European guer, which means wild animal, but the consensus is that it comes from the word bear, which means brown or dark, so it's like a brown animal, basically. And it's theorized that this stems from a taboo in saying the word bear, of saying the name of the animal for fear of invoking one. We can see that pattern, obviously, in Germanic languages, but also in Slavic languages, where they call bears medved, which means honey licker. However, the Greeks and the Latins have no such fear. They use the direct Proto-Indo-European word for bear, which leads us to a Proto-Indo-European word web. Here we can see that the Proto-Indo-European word Hurtkos led to the Persian Hers, the Latin Ursus, and the Greek Arctos. Arctos led to our word Arctic. You see, the constellation Ursa Major, or the Big Bear, pointed north, and it was known as the Big Bear in Greek as well. So the word for that direction in Greek was Arctos, in reference to the constellation. Ursus gave us words like Ursine, which means bear-related. It also gave us a Pokemon named Ursaring, the Disney villain Ursula, and Special Agent Oso. Special Agent Oso! I've also given you the 5 major Romance languages words for bear, so you can see how those are all related to the Latin as well. And this word web is a great example of a Proto-Indo-European root mutating how it sounds quite a bit over the years, but meaning the same thing, which I think is pretty neat. Fun fact, depending on how you define fun, the Proto-Indo-European root we just talked about, Hurtkos, literally meant destroyer. So there you have it. Lions and tigers and bears are nothing to be afraid of. They're just words.
Lions and tigers and bears.
About
Lions and tigers and bears.
and
Lions and tigers and bears.
completely harmless.
Lions and tigers and bears. Lions, tigers and bears. Lions, tigers and bears.